Part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths.
NPR editor and whistleblower by the name of Uri Berliner. So I've got some info here from Colin Rugg. Just in, NPR editor and whistleblower Uri Berliner has resigned from NPR, blasts their new CEO Katherine Maher on his way out. Berliner was serving a 5-day suspension after calling out the extreme liberal bias at NPR. I am resigning from NPR, a great American institution where I've worked for 25 years. I don't support calls to defund NPR, Berliner said. I respect the integrity of my colleagues and wish for NPR to thrive and do important journalism. But I cannot work in a newsroom where I am disparaged by a new CEO whose divisive views confirm the very problems at NPR I cited in my free press essay. Now a couple videos of the radicalism over the years of Katherine Maher has come out. Check this out from her a couple of years ago, talking about the #1 challenge in her fight against disinformation.
The #1 challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it.
If you are viewing the First Amendment as a challenge, you are on the wrong side of this issue. Especially because she's talking about platforms right there. So she's not talking about publishers. You guys know the difference between publishers and platforms. So the Daily Wire is a publisher. They're responsible for what people say on their site, right? Twitter is a platform. Everyone gets to say what they want. And then if you break the laws of the United States, et cetera, then you're in bigger trouble. You want the platforms to have the widest interpretation of free speech, and you want the publisher to say, okay, I'm conservative leaning or I'm liberal leaning or whatever it might be. But she fundamentally views, and this is just one of the statements we're going to show you, the First Amendment as a challenge to her work of fighting disinformation. And of course, what she means by disinformation is anything that runs counter to what she and most of the lefties believe. Anyway, Elon Musk saw that clip, and I thought it was worth showing his retweet of it because not only did 26 million people see his retweet of it, which is crazy, but I think he gets to the heart of it. This keeps getting crazier. The head of NPR hates the Constitution of the US. She views it as a challenge. And it's not just the Constitution she sees as a bit problematic. It's actually the truth itself.
Part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths. And so in the spirit of that, I'm certain that the truth exists for you and probably for the person sitting next to you. But this may not be the same truth. This is because the truth of the matter is very often, for many people, what happens when we merge facts about the world with our beliefs about the world. So we all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from, how we were raised, and how other people perceive us.
No, everything you said was just completely backwards. There is one truth, and then we can all tell ourselves stories that are perhaps loosely based on the truth or have nothing to do with the truth or are disinformation, et cetera, et cetera.